Like, for example, who's the oldest person in this class? Anybody 18? Okay, we got quite a few 18s. Anybody 16 in this class? Yeah, everybody else 17? Yeah. Okay, so that means that we are between, just call him a child? He's 17, okay. So what's the range of the ages in this class, not counting me? 1. Because set 18 minus. You know, it seems like we're going to make fun of Michael, but guess is the only person who said 1. I said, what are those two subtracted? And everybody went. Deviation. Deviation is how far a data point is from a mean. You can have positive deviations or negative deviations. If something is bigger than a mean, that is positive. If something is smaller than the mean, it is negative. Population standard deviation is, I'm skipping down one, is the average deviation of all those points. Population variance is the square of standard deviation. And that data point will come into play a lot more in the second half of the class. But for right now, it's a good thing to write down. Population variance is sigma squared, and population standard deviation is sigma, not O-tail, sigma. Speaking of, a population mean is mu. It looks like an M, but that is a U with kind of a tail off the front. I'm going to write population mean right there. And if it's a sample mean, do you guys remember what the symbol is for sample mean? I'm on the front page.
Oh. It's not X bar.
It is X bar. So the average, this is called X bar. That is a sample mean. Population is mu, like a kitten noise, mew. And that is a population mean. To find a population variance and standard deviation. Your calculator can do this for you, and I will show you how to do that at a later time. Right now, we are really quickly going to talk about how to find population standard deviation. I don't know why I made it this big, but I did. Let's do just 5 data points. So big, no reason for it. I'm so sorry. We need 1. We literally need 3 columns, and I don't know why. Should just write 5. Maybe I'll write it out in words instead. Capital letters, important. Okay, so I'm going to need 5 numbers.
42.
Okay, hold on.
86.
42, 1, what'd you say?
86.
86, and you said 59 in a real weird way, okay? 59. 13. Classic. Okay, so we are going to find the standard deviation of these numbers, and we're going to find them by hand. Here's how you do it. This is the X. Next, we need to find the mu of this data. We need to find the average. How are we going to do that? Add them all up, divide by 5. We might as well write that number down when we add them all up. Remember, this is called capital sigma. That is called a summation. Add them in your calculator. I got 201. Divide by 5. Mu equals 40.2. Next, we find the deviation of each entry. We see whether it is above or below, that is x minus mu. Remember, that's not an M, that's a U with a tail out front. Okay. So right now in my calculator, I do 42 minus 40.2, which is what, 1.8? That one's a little bit above the average. 1 minus 40.2 is negative 39.2. That is way below the average. 45.8. Is everybody aware of what I'm doing right now?
Shouldn't be negative 27.8. Oh.
No.
Oh no, since 9.
All the ones that are above are 0.8s, and all the ones that are below are 0.2s. Now, the problem is that right now, if I add these all together, what will happen to them? They will zero each other out because they are balanced around the average. Does that make sense? Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. And normally when I'm trying to find an average, I add things up and divide by how many I have. But if I add these up and divide by how many I have, they're going to zero out, and it's not going to work. So instead, I need to make them all positive. How do I make them all positive? Square them. So now I'm going to square every single one of these to make them positive, and later I will do a square root to get rid of that squaring.
I somehow just squared a negative number and got a negative number back.
When you square a negative number, so if I typed in my calculator,
I know I was using the square root, but then somehow I gave it a negative number back.
right, I'm about to explain it.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were trying to say like a negative number times a negative number equals.
A positive number, and that is true, but let me show you. So if I'm trying to figure out 45.8 squared, and I type in negative 45.8 squared, it will give me a negative number back. And the reason why is because your calculator is stupid. Calculators are going to do order of operations, which means first it will square the 45.8, and then it will multiply by a negative 1. So it's doing the squaring first, and then treating the negative out front like a negative 1. If you put parentheses around it and say negative 45.8 parentheses squared, then it will square all of it and it will be positive. I'm getting punchy. I just typed in my calculator instead of 27.2 squared, I just typed in 27.2 and hit enter, and my calculator's like 27.2. I'm like, yeah, that is indeed what I asked you. I basically said to my calculator, hey, can you just tell me 27.2 back? And it's like, you got it, lady.
That's the variance.
No, not quite. You have to divide by 5, and then that will be the variance. So now you're going to add all of them up. By the way, if you're one of the new people here and you're like, how am I going to remember all these steps? They're written out above it. What to do. So now we're adding them all up. I'm not going to do it. Can you guys just tell me what it was? Tegan?
4730.8.
47 what?
30.
That's what I got too.
Okay. All right. So that number, 4,730.8. Next thing you do is you divide by how many you have. So we're going to divide by 5. $946.16, and that is the variance. That's sigma squared. How do we find the standard deviation? Square root, 946.16. I got 30.